So how long does it take to land a web development job or become a web developer? Well, first things first, you can call yourself a web developer any time you like. Web developer is not tied to licenses or like the doctor field is, right? For example, physiotherapy field, you cannot do physiotherapy without having a license, right? And so web development is a completely different field. You don't even need a degree. You don't even need to go to college to become a web developer. So you need to keep that in mind. So it's not really about how to become a web developer. It's more about, are you in a position where you can get a job and maybe authentically call yourself, yes, I am a web developer because I have a job. If that's the question, then the answer really is it can take easily a couple of years to become a proper web developer. But then the question really is, uh, who do you know, right? if if you want to become a web developer, do you want to join a company and you know someone and you can get in the company quite easily, then couple of years in, or not even couple of years in, couple of months, and you can call yourself a developer, right? Maybe you're not a proper developer if you compare yourself to other people who are experienced with 10 years of experience. Maybe you're not that, but you can call yourself a developer. So it's really important who do you know in this field as well, just like any other field. If that's not an option, then obviously you need to, for both situations, whether you know someone or not, you need to know the foundation, you need to know the basics and all that. You have to make sure you have the portfolio, your CV is very well done, and by that I mean it's like really well done. And to make sure you highlight your experience section, you make sure you add the links to portfolio, and make sure that the portfolio is built on the foundation of a couple of technologies, not 100 different technologies, right? That would mean whatever the market demands, build your portfolio on that. As a beginner, you don't want to start using frameworks, because then that's going to make you slightly weaker, because you're just dividing your attention in many different places. So make sure you have your CV, right? um, mm, and it's good enough, and get people to review it. Start sending it out. Obviously, you would have to know the basics, like I said before. Um, and if someone calls you or if someone wants to talk to you, just pick up the phone, call them back, right? um, don't ignore their phone calls, because a lot of the times you don't know what type of job it actually is until you speak to the recruiter or the employer. A lot of times they'll be, it's not a job for me, which is fine. So you have to make sure that you know a couple of things, right? And these things do take time. Improving your communication in well, in any field, it takes a lot of effort, right? You can't just wake up and like, okay, I can communicate well, I can jump on a phone call and explain what I have done easily. You know, you can't do that, because if you're just trying to fake it, they'll pick it easily. So these things take time, right? Getting the basics down, getting a good CV, because obviously CV is going to require many iterations, right? um, Portfolio, well built portfolio that looks like a portfolio, not small side things like stopwatch, timer, calories calculator. Don't add things like that to your portfolio unless you already know someone in a company who will just let you in easily. Most of the people don't know. They go the hard route, applying for jobs, blah blah. So couple of things, like I said, basics, CV, communication. Um, um, you gotta make sure you actually grind. You got some experience just by working on those things, right? Um, and if you don't want to do any of that, just know the basics and get in the field, then you gotta know someone. So it really depends. It's a difficult question to answer. But in from my experience, from the people I speak to a lot, who have gone from just starting out development to become a good developer, go work at IBM. It does take at least 2 to 3 years, or even 4 years, to become a developer, and it doesn't matter if you come from if you've done computer science in uni. It really doesn't matter. um, to become a developer, it can take a couple of years, 3 or 4 years, and obviously that's very different from getting in the field, right? Getting in the field might take a little less, but the market is very relentless right now, so you can't just um, enter the field so easily. So take your time. It's not quick thing to uh, to get into, unless you know someone. learn the basics, build the portfolio as best as you can. It's gonna get boring, but yeah, it's gonna take time. Be realistic with yourself. Do not buy into the idea of um, learn X, Y, and Z and you'll get a job. That's just not gonna happen. So the answer to that question, how long does it take to land a job? I think it's a couple of years. Couple of years is a good start, and just keep that in mind. Do not try to take shortcuts because that it's just not gonna work. Just spend, do pay your dues. Just spend a couple of years, and if you can get in the company through someone just as a junior developer, or even someone who just edits the content, all you're doing is going to WordPress, editing stuff, moving things around, do that. That's a good start, and in a couple of years you're gonna just climb the ladder naturally, because you're already in the company. It's gonna be much easier to get up once you are in than coming from outside. So make sure you spend a couple of years. It's okay, and there's gonna be times when you're not gonna enjoy the process because it's so damn boring. Um, but that's fine. That's how it works. But try not to take it too seriously, because as soon as you take web development too seriously, you're gonna just quit. If you do wanna quit, just quit for a week, and then restart. And if you get really bored with a project and you're like, I can't do this anymore, then okay, let's switch. But try to stick to one project, make it lengthy, spend some time, and just keep in mind that it's gonna take a couple of years.